I'm super excited to be unboxing some succulents from Leaf and Clay. Ooh, and this is nice. So these came with the label as well. That is like the cutest little baby toes ever. So cute and little. You can see these are bare root, and sometimes they come with more roots and sometimes with less roots. It really just kind of depends on the plant, but this will definitely still be able to be planted and continue to grow even though it only has a little bit of roots. Now, a little disclaimer with this package. It was actually supposed to arrive a week ago. So they sent it second day mail, so it should have come in just 2 days. The post office decided it should take a trip back and forth from California to Washington a couple times before coming to me in Utah. So I'm curious to see if we'll notice any signs that these have been in the mail longer than they typically are, but so far, these look really good. This one is really pretty. I actually have another one of these that I purchased at a local nursery here, and it gets to be a really deep purple color. So we have one little leaf that's sad, but honestly, that's really normal to happen during shipping. Succulents will pull water and nutrients from a lower leaf to help keep the rest of the plant alive. Alrighty, apparently we've got a cactus in here. Ooh, this is really cool. So this is, well, you can read the tag. I actually practiced saying this one once though. So it's Gymnocalycium meonovicii variegata, or something like that. You can correct me in the comments if I said it wrong. Look at how cool this variegation is. Got these deep greens over here, reddish orange on this side. That is one amazing looking cactus. I don't think there's actually going to be many problems with this from being in the mail longer. Maybe a couple more like tender or soft-leaved succulents. However, for the most part, because these were shipped dry, they really shouldn't have stretched or grown very much, and so they should still look really good. Oh, I love this one. This one is a Cremnosedum Little Gem. We've got some flowers on it. But also, like this one just stays in these really tiny clusters of rosettes. The rosettes don't get bigger than this. And so it's cool to just see a bunch of them growing because you just have these little rosettes spreading out all over your arrangement or whatever pot that it's in. I'm just noticing there are a ton of plants in here. This is gonna take a while to get through, but I am excited. I don't think I have seen this. Oh, yeah, maybe I have seen this one before. This is a really cool looking plant though. So this is a peperomia. Not quite sure on the species there, but easy enough to look up. The leaf shape on this is so interesting. They look like little monster mouths. I'm really curious to see how this one will do. So peperomia tend to like a little bit more water than most succulents. And with a lot of these, because the roots are so dried out, I may actually just rip them off and treat these as if they were a cutting. It's kind of hit and miss, but sometimes I've found that getting rid of the original roots encourages the plant to put off new roots into the new soil and pot that it's in. There is one problem with getting new plants. And that's I have to find a spot for them and pots for them, which I'm happy to have this problem. Don't get me wrong, but I am definitely running out of space in my garden right now. And I also have more succulents than I typically would care for. So I probably need to get rid of some also. Ooh, this is cool. Really, really interesting. And I'm excited that there's little babies attached to it because I can have more that will continue to grow and put off more babies of their own. Also, do you love how I just said I need to make room for these and probably give away some succulents? But then I'm excited because I'll have a bunch of babies, so I'll have more. Typical problems of a plant parent. I really like this one. This might be my favorite so far. Oh, I love this one. This one is just a classic for me. And I think it's changed names a few different times, but Pachyphytum compactum Little Jewel. And this one is pretty small. They do get bigger, but they just have such interesting little facets along the leaves instead of just being flat and smooth. So that's where they get the nickname Little Jewel. Oh yes. So this one is Kalanchoe tomentosa, but it is this hairy cultivar rather than panda plant or chocolate soldier. My kids love panda plant, so I think they're going to really like this one as well. And it might be hard to tell from the video, but it gets its name, as you might imagine, from these hairs on the leaves. They're a lot longer and more hair-like than a typical panda plant would be. What do you think is in this big one? This is huge. All right, my guess right now is an aloe, just given a few little leaves I'm seeing poking out. Yep. Whoa. Aloe blue hybrid. That is one toothy aloe. Man, those little hooks, they're not like, they're a little bit sharp, but they're not going to really cut you or anything, but that looks mean. That looks like it's going to really bite you. Just thinking back to my earlier comment, these all look really good. I don't even think you would know that they were in shipping for a week longer than they were supposed to. Maybe this one. This might be the first one that's kind of showing signs, but I don't know what it looked like before either. So this is Sempervivum Gold Nugget, a chick charm. And this one, it definitely has yellow leaves. I mean, it's called Gold Nugget. It's maybe a little more flattened than it might be, but even still, this looks really good. And I'm excited that there's little chicks on it. I'll probably end up planting this one outside. These can handle sub-zero temperatures. These can handle freezing. I believe they're rated for a zone 5. Getting it established in the ground or in a pot in the spring is definitely the way to go to help these be very heat and drought tolerant, as well as snow tolerant in the winter. Ooh, this one's pretty. Now, I'm really curious to see what this one will look like as it grows. I feel like there's a little bit of wave to some of these leaves, and they are just so wide. So I feel like a lot of Echeverias have fairly narrow leaves. These are kind of heart-shaped and much wider than most that I have seen. It's a really interesting look. Oh, I love this. And these are actually cuttings rather than like bare root. There's no roots on these, which is totally fine. So this is variegated ET's fingers. Look at that super bright variegation. Just hot pinks, hot oranges. I don't know if that's a color. Really vibrant, almost neon looking colors to them. This is going to be really cool. Now, as I'm going through these, I'm actually subconsciously trying to figure out which ones I want to put in an arrangement that's going to go on my desk. So the place where my desk currently is located has no natural light. And I want to put an arrangement there that's very colorful and grow it just under grow lights. I'm confident it will work because most of my plants have been exclusively under grow lights for the last few years, but I want to do a super vibrant colored arrangement just to kind of make a point with it that you can grow succulents in just grow lights and still have them stay colorful. All right, this one is really interesting. Variegated string of buttons. This is one I actually got in the package from Mountain Crest Gardens as well, but it's interesting how different they look. The ones from Mountain Crest Gardens had a really bright yellow and one that was really bright pink, and these are kind of in between, and I feel like the leaves are a little bit bigger. Ooh, this one is really heavy. It's large, but compared to the other ones, it's just a lot heavier. So I'm really curious what this one will be. Ooh. They didn't label it as a cactus, but this is pinecone cactus. I actually thought it was paper spine cactus for a minute, but doesn't have the paper spines. This is a really funky looking plant. There are a lot of funky looking succulents. This is a very pristine bear paw. Really fuzzy succulents like this are actually great to get bare root because you don't get the dirt all over them. So this is one that I also got from Mountain Crest, and it was just covered in dirt, which is typical because it comes with its original pot and soil. So there's nothing wrong with them being dirty. You can obviously wash them off, but it's just interesting to kind of contrast this because it's so much cleaner. And so it seems like it's in better health, even though they're really exactly the same. This just makes you want to pet it though. It's so smooth and soft. Whoa. I love the name of this one. Crassula variegated moneymaker. Jade is also called money tree from time to time. This is a much more delicate version. These leaves are a lot thinner. They're not nearly as like plump and fleshy, but I do really like the color and the texture of them. Because the leaves on these are so dehydrated, I will probably end up watering them every 3 to 4 days initially after repotting them. And that way I can help them kind of plump up again and then go back to just the soak and dry method to help them develop a really strong root system that can withstand longer periods of drought. Well, this is cute and little. All right, I'm not going to try pronouncing that one. Mini desert rose. This is going to be interesting to see. So it'll look kind of like a tree with these little branches on it. I really like this. We're getting down to the last few. This is a plant I have not seen nor had in my collection for a long time. I actually got this plant when I was photographing for my book. I gave it away after I finished photographing everything for the book, and I don't think I've had it since. Kalanchoe humilis. Of all the plants that I have opened up, this one seems like it is struggling the most. And I would say there's a number of factors, like definitely being in shipping longer than normal could affect that. It's also at the bottom. These were fairly lightweight, but it does seem like it got a little bit smashed. But I think mostly it's just pulling water from those lower leaves to help keep it alive. Ooh, we've got another sempervivum here. Another chick charm. This one is called Lotus Blossom. And it does have just really cool colors to it. You've got the variegation with the pink and the white and then green. Kind of looks like a candy cane. Although they might have one actually that is called candy cane or something similar. This one has a ton of chicks on it also. I'm excited to get these planted outside now that I'm in Utah. These did not survive the heat very well in Arizona, but they will do really well here in the Utah climate. Another kind of toothy aloe, Purple Haze. I've always wondered about the name of this one. Every time I've seen it, it is pink and green like this. But I have wondered if when it gets really stressed, if it does actually become more of a purple. I might see if I can really stress it under the grow lights once I've gotten the roots a little bit more established. I feel like this is going to be another sempervivum. Aha! Oh, I love this one. This one is Sempervivum oddity. And on closer inspection, I'm sure you can see why. It has these almost tubular shaped leaves. Kind of reminds me of Crassula ovata Gollum or the ET fingers that we saw earlier. But this one is cold hardy, so it will survive outside in a 4-season climate. Ooh, I really like this. I'm not sure I've seen any here that I don't like, though. Echeveria. Can't quite tell for sure, but we'll look it up. This one reminds me a little bit of Graptovaria silver star, where the leaves kind of elongate and come to a really sharp point at the end. But this deep pink color is really pretty. All right, I don't know how you say this one, but it's a split rock, Royal Flush. Has such a deep purple color. I love the little speckles, and this one is plump. So if you want a succulent that you hardly ever have to water, this is it. I will probably need to water it a fair amount in the beginning just to get the roots more established. But after that, you have to be really careful not to overwater this because it will rot very quickly. I'm gonna save the big one for last. This one feels a little bit sharp. Oh, interesting. Wow, this came in really good shape. I was not expecting an aeonium. Aeoniums can be really rough to ship because they end up bruising really easily. So a lot of times you just get a bunch of black spots all over the aeonium and it looks bad even though the plant will still survive. This is Aeonium orbicum rubrum. It has kind of a coppery color to it at the moment. I'm curious if it will get more red or if it'll stay more green in the grow lights. And our very last one. Few leaves falling off. It seems pretty delicate. Ooh, maybe a peperomia? Yes. Go ahead and let you figure out the pronunciation there. I'm not sure I've seen a variegated peperomia before, but I do really like how this looks. It is a little bit beat up, but I think it will recover pretty quickly. It's still definitely in good health, so nothing wrong in that sense. It's just a little bit smashed, which makes sense because it was on the bottom. We've got maybe one little leaf that's kind of rotting here. Something interesting though about variegated plants, not just this peperomia, because the white parts don't have chlorophyll, so they're not absorbing sunlight, there's this really tricky balance between giving it enough light and too much light. It needs a lot of light so that the green parts of the leaf can absorb the light and produce the food that they need, but too much light can actually cause them to burn because those white areas aren't able to absorb the sunlight and utilize it. This one is definitely going to be planted on its own, and I'm really curious to see what it looks like as it continues to grow and kind of revive from shipping. Well, in order to keep these all labeled appropriately, I'm not going to take them out of the tissue paper just yet, but who wants to come help me repot everything? So that took me about 30 minutes to unbox all of these succulents, and I think repotting them is going to take about the same amount of time, if not more, just because I've got to figure out there's some nuances to some of these and figuring out which ones I want to put in that arrangement I told you about that'll be on my desk and which ones are going to be potted up on their own. Either way though, I am super excited to get these all photographed, put into the Succulent Tracker app, and added to my collection. And I'm really excited to see how well we can maintain all of these colors under grow lights as well. So stay tuned to see which of these succulents I use in an arrangement and learn how to use grow lights to keep succulents colorful.